Hey everyone. Sometimes it feels like you're just going through the motions, right? Like missing that spark in everyday life. I think we've all been there.
Yeah, definitely. And what's interesting is you send over some notes about that and a link to a book too.
Yeah, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's book, Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience. It seems like you're already on the right track.
Yeah, and what I find really fascinating about Csikszentmihalyi's work is this whole concept of flow.
Right.
Like when you're so absorbed in what you're doing that you completely lose track of time.
It's like being in the zone.
Exactly.
But what makes this flow state so special? Is it just about, feeling good, or is there something more to it?
Well, it's definitely about more than just like fleeting happiness.
Okay.
Csikszentmihalyi suggests that these flow experiences can actually lead to like a deeper sense of fulfillment and well-being.
Interesting.
It's about finding those activities that are intrinsically rewarding, things you do simply for the joy of doing them.
So it's not about external rewards or achievements, but about finding that pure enjoyment in the process itself. I like that.
Exactly. It's about tapping into that like internal motivation, that
Yeah.
drive that comes from genuine interest and passion.
Mhm.
And when you're in that flow state, you're completely engaged, challenged just enough, and incredibly focused.
So how do we get there?
Well, Csikszentmihalyi actually breaks down the experience into a few key components.
Okay, let's unpack those. What are the ingredients that make up this flow recipe?
Well, one of the most important is finding that sweet spot between your skills and the challenges you're facing.
Okay.
It's about finding that balance where the task is engaging enough to keep you hooked,
Yeah.
but not so overwhelming that you get frustrated and give up.
So it's kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, not too easy, not too hard, but just right?
That's a great analogy.
I like that.
If the challenge is too low, boredom sets in.
Right.
If it's too high, you get anxiety.
Makes sense.
But when you hit that perfect balance,
Yeah.
that's where the magic of flow happens.
Yeah. So challenge level is crucial. What else is needed to really get into a flow state?
Clear goals are also super important.
Okay.
Having a clear sense of what you're trying to achieve gives your actions purpose and direction.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're writing a novel, building a website, or even just reorganizing your desk,
Right.
having that goal in mind can make all the difference.
So it's not just about blindly diving into something, but about having a clear destination in mind, even if it's a small one.
Precisely. And another vital component is immediate feedback.
Okay.
Think about it like playing a video game.
Yeah.
You're constantly getting feedback on your actions.
Right.
Whether it's points rewards or new levels unlocked, that real-time feedback keeps you engaged and motivated.
Ah, so it's like getting those little wins along the way that keep you going. Does that mean we need to constantly be checking our progress or seeking external validation to stay in flow?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
The feedback can be inherent in the activity itself.
Interesting.
Think of a musician improvising a solo. They're getting instant feedback from the sounds they're creating.
Gotcha.
Or a writer crafting a story. The flow of words and the evolving narrative provide that internal feedback loop.
That makes a lot of sense. So challenge goals and feedback are all part of the equation.
Yeah.
What else do we need to consider?
Another critical component is concentration.
Okay.
That deep focus that allows you to like fully immerse yourself in the experience.
Yeah.
When you're in flow, you're not distracted by your phone buzzing or thinking about what's for dinner.
Right.
You're completely present in the moment, fully absorbed in the task at hand.
That sounds almost meditative. Like
Yeah.
you're shutting out the noise of the world and tuning into the frequency of the activity itself.
Exactly. And this is where that intrinsic motivation we talked about earlier comes into play.
Okay.
When you're genuinely interested in what you're doing, that focus comes naturally. You're not forcing yourself to concentrate.
Yep.
It just happens effortlessly.
So finding those activities that truly spark our interest is crucial for tapping into flow. But what about those tasks that we might not naturally find enjoyable? Can we still experience flow even when we're not doing something we absolutely love?
That's a great question. And the answer is surprisingly yes.
Really?
It might take a bit more effort,
Okay.
but you can absolutely cultivate flow even in activities that might seem mundane or even tedious.
So how do we do that?
Remember those clear goals we talked about?
Yeah.
That's where they become really important.
So even if the task itself is an inherently thrilling setting, clear goals can make it more engaging.
Exactly. By breaking down a larger task into smaller, more manageable steps, you create a sense of progress and achievement.
Right.
And each little win along the way can actually trigger a mini flow state, making the overall experience more enjoyable.
That's actually really encouraging. It means we don't have to wait for those perfect flow moments to happen. We can actually create them even in the midst of our everyday routines.
Precisely. And it's about finding those little tweaks that can transform an ordinary activity into a more engaging experience.
Like what?
Maybe it's putting on some music you enjoy while you're doing the dishes, or setting a timer and challenging yourself to complete a task more efficiently. It's about bringing that sense of intentionality and playfulness to those everyday moments.
I love that idea of bringing playfulness into even the most mundane tasks.
Yeah.
It's like shifting our perspective and finding those little sparks of joy in the unexpected. But for someone who's feeling stuck, who's maybe struggling to find that flow in their life, where do they even begin?
It all starts with self-awareness. Paying attention to those moments when you've already experienced glimpses of flow, those times when you were completely absorbed in something and lost track of time.
Okay.
What were you doing? What about that activity resonated with you?
So it's about becoming a detective of our own experiences, paying attention to those moments when we felt that sense of effortless engagement. Once we've identified those activities, what's the next step?
Then it's about creating the conditions for flow to flourish. Remember those key components we discussed. Challenge clear goals, immediate feedback concentration, and intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
Think about how you can integrate those elements into the activities you've identified.
So it's about consciously designing our environment and our approach to activities to make flow more likely. That's fascinating. Is there anything else we could do to nurture that flow state?
Absolutely. Mindfulness practices can be incredibly helpful.
How so?
Learning to be more present in the moment, to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment,
Okay.
can make it easier to enter that flow state. When you're not caught up in worries or distractions, you're more available to fully immerse yourself in the experience at hand.
So it's about cultivating that inner stillness, that sense of presence that allows us to fully engage with whatever we're doing.
Exactly. And it's a skill you can develop over time with practice. The more you cultivate that mindfulness, that awareness of the present moment, the easier it becomes to slip into that flow state. And, reading Csikszentmihalyi's book, Flow, the psychology of optimal experience can actually help you understand this entire concept more deeply.
You're absolutely right. It's almost like you've been reading our listeners' mind because they actually sent over the link to that book on Amazon. It seemed like they're really keen on exploring this idea further.
And what's so wonderful about his book is that it's not just theory, it's filled with practical examples and real-world applications. Csikszentmihalyi doesn't just tell you about flow, he shows you how to find it, cultivate it, and integrate it into your own life.
So it's like a roadmap to a more fulfilling and joyful life.
Precisely. And it really emphasizes that flow isn't some mystical experience reserved for a select few. It's something we can all access, cultivate, and benefit from.
Now, I know we don't want to sound like a commercial here, but it really does seem like Csikszentmihalyi's book could be a valuable resource for our listener as they delve deeper into this topic.
I completely agree. And what's particularly helpful is that he addresses a wide range of activities, from work to hobbies to relationships. He shows how flow principles can be applied to virtually any area of life, which is incredibly empowering.
So it's not just about finding flow in those moments of leisure. It's about infusing our entire lives with that sense of engagement and joy.
Absolutely. And one of the things I find most inspiring about Csikszentmihalyi's work is that he challenges the conventional idea of happiness as a static state. He suggests that it's not about reaching a fixed point, but about continuously seeking out experiences that stretch us, challenge us, and help us grow.
So it's not about arriving at some final destination of happiness, but rather about embracing the journey itself with all its twists and turns and unexpected discoveries.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a mindset that allows us to find joy in the process, even when things get tough. Because let's be honest, life isn't always easy. There will be challenges, obstacles, setbacks, but it's how we approach those challenges, how we choose to engage with them, that ultimately determines our experience.
That's such a powerful message. It's a reminder that we have more agency than we often realize. We can choose to approach life's challenges with a sense of curiosity, a willingness to learn, and a determination to find those moments of flow, even amidst the chaos.
Absolutely. And what's so beautiful about flow is that it's accessible to everyone. It doesn't require special skills or talents. It's simply about finding those activities that light us up, that challenge us in a good way, and then approaching them with intentionality and focus.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into flow, I want to leave you with this thought, dear listener. What's one small step you can take today to invite more flow into your life? Maybe it's setting aside dedicated time for a hobby you love, or approaching a work project with a renewed sense of focus and purpose. Whatever it is, make the choice to engage with the world in a way that brings you joy, challenges you to grow, and helps you to tap into your full potential.
Remember, happiness and fulfillment aren't destinations we arrive at, but rather a way of traveling through life. Embrace the journey, seek out those moments of flow, and discover the extraordinary in the everyday. And if you're looking for guidance on that journey, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's book is a fantastic companion to have by your side.
We couldn't agree more. It seems like you've already taken that first step by exploring this concept, and we commend you for that. Keep seeing it. Keep experimenting and keep diving deep into those experiences that bring you joy and fulfillment. You know what I find really encouraging about this whole concept of flow is it's not about achieving some grand state of perfection or bliss.
Right.
It's about those small, everyday moments where we feel truly engaged and alive.
That's such an important point. Flow isn't some elusive state reserved for artists or athletes. It's something we can all experience in our daily lives, whether we're cooking a meal, working on a project, or simply having a conversation.
It's about finding that spark of joy and engagement in the unexpected places. And it sounds like Csikszentmihalyi's book really dives deep into how to do just that.
It absolutely does. He offers practical strategies for cultivating flow in all areas of life, and he reminds us that it's a journey, not a destination.
So it's not about getting it right all the time.
Exactly.
It's about embracing the process, experimenting, and finding what works for us.
Precisely. And he also emphasizes the importance of being kind to ourselves.
Oh, that's good.
There will be times when we struggle to find flow, when distractions pull us away or challenges feel overwhelming.
That's reassuring to hear because it's easy to get discouraged when we don't achieve that flow state on demand.
Exactly. But the key is to keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep coming back to those activities that light us up. And remember, even small moments of flow can have a big impact on our well-being.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this invitation, dear listener. Pay attention to those moments when you feel that sense of effortless engagement, when time seems to fly by and you're completely absorbed in what you're doing.
Those are glimpses of flow. And by nurturing those moments, by consciously creating the conditions for flow to flourish, you can transform your everyday life into a more joyful and fulfilling experience.
And who knows, maybe this deep dive has sparked a desire to explore this concept even further. If that's the case, Csikszentmihalyi's book is definitely worth checking out.
It's a treasure trove of insights and inspiration, and it might just be the key to unlocking a whole new level of joy and fulfillment in your life.
So keep seeking, keep experimenting, and keep diving deep until next time. Happy flowing.